Doubt-Free Living is a collection of short essays regarding faith and doubt. In it, author Dave Macy challenges readers to overcome fear, anxiety, instability, and uncertainty through developing a deep and personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Tell us your story.
I was like a lot of people. I grew up in the Catholic faith and knew a lot of tradition, but never really had the Lord in my heart, and I was a skeptic. Finally, after searching and really going through some apologetic material, I was led to the Lord. But a year before I became a Christian, this is interesting now, and there's a lot of people out there who have a head knowledge of who Jesus Christ is, but they don't believe it in their heart. A year before that, I thought, I'm a Christian. Got it made, I believe now. And a year later, I was worse off. I'd left my family, my wife, and that's when I had my Damascus Road experience. I had no seatbelt on, and my Toyota hit a light pole on West End Avenue in Nashville doing about 40 miles an hour. And I walked away from it without a scratch. Wow. Found out a week later after I came to the Lord that a group of people at this church had been praying for me, hedge protection around me. I wish I had a picture of it because the windshield looked like the shape of my head.
So now that experience got you to thinking about life or death, or about there must be somebody watching me, or what?
After a number of miraculous experiences, we don't have the time to go over all that, I decided I need to give my life to the Lord.
Do you think a lot of Christians kind of have that experience where it's the head knowledge, but not necessarily it's in the heart?
That's why I wrote the book. When I got into the church and really got plugged in, I realized that there's a lot of people that come to the church, if you will, different churches, for the wrong reason.
Now, is having doubts necessarily a bad thing?
The question is really, what happens when you have doubt? Seek the answers. And you'll find the answers in the book. You'll also find the answers in the Bible. And apologetics, and again, defending the faith, is a great part of what I love about the faith, because skeptics, and I have a heart for skeptics, you know, and atheists, and I talk to them quite a bit, and they have really rational arguments. But when you show them the evidence that's there, it opens their mind. It doesn't, it's not going to convict them. The Holy Spirit's going to do that. Right. But the evidence opens that door. And I really think that's what it does. And for Christians who are weak in their faith, what it does is undergirds them and gives them, I think, a chance to go out and be on an even footing, if you will.
Yeah. So in Doubt-Free Living, what are some of the apologetic approaches?
Let's take 1 Corinthians, and when Paul writes about pretty much the statement of Jesus that he was resurrected, that 1 Corinthians 15 is interesting because that takes us back scripturally to within a few years of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The history of Jesus, as we have recorded in the scriptures and outside the Bible, extra-biblical, is so strong, and it's actually more certain than history of ancient Rome.
Right.
So historically we have, archaeologically we have, in the Gospel of John, he talks about a pool with 7 porticos. Well, archaeologists said, well, it couldn't be, because we've never found that. And then in 1992, they unearthed that, and it was, oh, I guess he's right. And the Gospel of Luke, historically, is a masterpiece. And they actually have gone to try to disprove that and followed every step of Luke and into Acts. And it's amazing how it lines up perfectly with archaeology and history.
So our science, our discoveries just haven't caught up with what's truthfully already recorded.
I think science helps prove the Bible and vice versa. I really do.
Now, in the book, you mentioned there are 3 types of people. Sinos, I guess, Babbitts, and Babbitts.
Very important. Sinos are Christians in name only. These are people who, as we talked about, they're there and they're not born again. They're the tares among the wheat, if you will. The Babbitts are the ones I'm really trying to get to right now, because they're born again believers who have come to believe, and then they sit on their butt and do nothing. They need to get off and get out of their butts or their doubts and get plugged in and get excited about the Lord. Babbitts are born-again believers in the Spirit. They're walking in the Spirit. You know, John talks about this in his letters about being in the Spirit, and Paul talks about it too. And really, that's where you want to be. And you know something? If your enthusiasm for Jesus Christ after 10 years of being a Christian isn't as much as it is when you were first there, you better check yourself. I'm not saying you have to run around and be a Jesus freak in the sense that you have to put a big J on your head and go cheer at church. But it should be overflowing. And that's really what this book is about, is reaching the people in church. And I want to do a lot of church growth and development by showing people through Christian education and through really discipling people that revival can start right where you are, and it's just naturally going to grow a church.
What's the first steps towards getting into that spirit-filled or being in the spirit life?
Well, if you read the book, you'll know immediately you're a Sino or a Christian in name only. And you have to ask yourself, like I did, for a year I was a Sino, what is missing? And it was my commitment, my profession of faith to the Lord, and understanding that He is in charge and not me.
Yeah.
That's where it all changed for me. And I couldn't get there fast enough and put up my hand and make my profession of faith.